Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome along to the Final Furlong podcast. Thank you for joining us. Great to have your company. I'm Emmet Kennedy, joined as usual on a Thursday by Peter Michael and Andy Newton as we preview Trials Day at Cheltenham. Any clues for the Cheltenham Festival? Now, we've got some cracking insight from the lads, confident naps, and some big each-way fancies as well. We'll begin with the 1240, the Timeform Novices Handicap Chase, where the betting is headed by the JP McManus-owned Jaguar 2-1 with Jeff Banks as an industry best price. You can get that now at jeffbanks.bet. Use the promo code FFP500 to get 10% off your first 10% of any net losses back after your first month of betting. Mouthwords are working. Let's go forward. Resplendent Grey, even 7-2, second favourite. Mouthwords not working at all. And Billy the real big red. 6-1. After that sensational start, Peter Michael, who wins?
You're nearly as bad as me last week, Emmet, when I stumbled for about a minute and I couldn't speak on the show.
I think I've had way too much of the cough medicine.
Yeah, well, that's yeah, exactly. Well, this is a race I'm really looking forward to see, lads. A few you're naming the few of them there: Jaguar, Resplendent Grey, Billy the Real Big Red. Horses like them are horses I've been, following. Jaguar was a bit disappointing last time. I know he hammered, I think, the second last fence, but he was beaten at the time. Now, it was the winner's a decent animal, so it was, it wasn't the end of the world to be beaten by him, but I just was a bit disappointed by him. I think he's better than that. He's 2-1, so that's, it's short for a race of this caliber, I would say, because this is a good handicap. Resplendent Grey is a horse Ollie Murphy put up after Christmas as a horse to look forward to, even though he disappointed in December, in the 6th of December. So you have to take note of him as well. Billy the Real Big Red's a horse I'm a big fan of. I've put him up twice, his last 2 wins in my tipping group, and he's done it well for us. So, if I go against him, it'll be a bit hard. And then there's a few others in there, and even the outsider, Walking on Air, to be honest, he caught my eye last time. I don't think he was off a yard. He was beaten 34 lengths, but if you watch the race, Keelan Woods is an extremely strong jockey and one of the best jockeys around, but you could tell it wasn't a day for him to get involved. So I'd keep an eye on him in the bet, and I wouldn't rule him out. I don't know what the long-term plan for him is. Immediately I thought it could be something at Cheltenham, but he's 125 now, and if he keeps going down the weights, I don't know what he could get into at Cheltenham. So I'd definitely be keeping an eye on him. Just at the prices, I'm going to put up Billy the Real Big Red. I think he's got as good a chance as any of them. I do think Jaguar has a major chance, and I have to respect Resplendent Grey because Ollie Murphy seemed bullish about him when interviewed a few weeks ago. But at the prices, Billy the Big Real Red for me, and I'd definitely be keeping an eye on Walking on Air. In fact, I'd back him at 40-1. If he loses, you wouldn't mind. But there's more to come from him going forward, I'd say.
11-2, Billy the Real Big Red. We can get the words out. 40-1, Walking on Air outside of the field. I'm with Resplendent Grey. I think the drop back and trip is going to suit, and I really like that performance behind Highland, who's franked the form in a Grade 1 next time out, finishing second, and I think he could be a really interesting one for the Ultima overall, Highland. And also, Peter beat me to it. Ollie Murphy, of all the horses he could talk about, this was the one he was singing about. So Resplendent Grey from me. Andy Newton for you?
Yeah, I mean, and it's worth pointing out, obviously, Murphy's horses are absolutely buzzing at the moment as well, aren't they? Flying all over the shop. So that's a massive plus for Resplendent Grey. That's definitely one for the short list. I think, like you say, I think the drop in trip will help. It's got track experience as well. It's another plus. The ground will be fine. I think we should probably mention the ground because, I mean, there's all this talk about the storm and stuff, but actually there at the moment, it's drying out. It's good. It was good to soft. There's a bit of wind, I think, forecast there tomorrow. So that's going to just keep it on the sort of dry side, on the good, and obviously a lot of these horses have got form on softer and what have you. But worth sort of mentioning that and just sort of having a little look at the form back of, the good ground horses. But look, Jaguar, let's sort of just on this one, first of all, 2-1 looks a bit short to me. I mean, jumping last time out around Cheltenham, is it going to hold up? I mean, it made a bit of a hash at the last. Probably would have come second, wouldn't it, that day at Uttoxeter. I mean, it wasn't a bad run behind Ginkgo Blue. That horse obviously looks decent. Its win probably at Bangor, it's probably its best one yet. But I mean, even its debut over fences at Wetherby, I mean, God knows what price it traded in running, because it looked, out with the washing, didn't it? And then just flew home, got up by half a length. So there's holes in its, I don't know, its runs really. And then there's 3 big trends against it as well. If you do like your stats, age, okay, 9 of the last 11 winners of this have been age 7 or 8. So this is a 6-year-old. Favourites have a bit of a dodgy record in this as well. Only 3 of the last 20, I think, have gone in. And then the other monster stat against it is 17 of the last 20 winners have come here off a top 2 finish at worst. And obviously Jaguar sort of faded into 3rd after that mistake last time out at Uttoxeter. So not sure about the 2-1 probably for that. So yeah, Resplendent Grey is probably the one. I mean, look, you can probably make a case for Guard Your Dreams, the old international hurdle winner. They're 9-year-old now, but lightly raced over fences. Ran all right last time in the December Gold Cup, came 4th, didn't it? And one we haven't mentioned is the King horse, Masaccio. I think last time probably just didn't. It looked like it wanted 3 miles, didn't it? But it just didn't quite get it, I think. So the drop back against it, you go back to its form against the Jukebox Man a couple of runs ago. That's got to enter calculations as well. Good ground will be fine as well. I think it's 1 on that. So the main one, I think, Resplendent Grey for me, and just a little word of caution about Jaguar, I think, personally, at 2-1.
Okay, second race, 1:15 is the JCB Triumph Trial Juvenile Hurdle Grade 2. Can I talk? Am I able to speak today? The one thing I'm supposed to be able to do? I don't know. Maybe I really did overdo it with the cough syrup. Jeez. We got to go back to 2017 for the last horse to win this race and then go on to win the Triumph Hurdle. That was Defi Desoy for the Hobbs team, but surely had Sergino rocked up, he would have won. Let's not remind the people who had the fancy prices about him. Adam Mills being one of them. Let's not remind them too much at all. East India Dock is the 5-4 on favourite with Jeff Banks bet to go and win the JCB Triumph Hurdle Trial and line up what should be a fantastic Triumph Hurdle, certainly with the way things are looking. As for now, we'll talk about the anti-post betting for that race in a second. Quintock Hills, 14-1. He was a dead heat winner at Cheltenham with Termifana, both ridden by the Bowen brothers. But they both would need to step forward if they're going to be able to go and win this race. Is this just a case of East India Dock wins and books his ticket for the Cheltenham Festival, Peter?
Yeah, I think so. The last time he ran, I was a bit worried about the trip. You were very confident about him, and you rightly so. He absolutely hacked up. And the thing is, I do think it'll be better even over further, because I know this horse from the flat. I'd backed him a few times, tipped him a few times, and 2 miles was what he needed in the flat. And if you need 2 miles in the flat, generally, you're going to be at least a 2.5 miles, more than likely a 3 mile over hurdles. So it's quite impressive what he's done so far over 2 miles, and the Cheltenham Hill, as we saw last time, is tailor-made for him. So to be honest, he looks an absolute certainty bar fall. I can't see anything beating him. And I think Quantock Hills, one that you mentioned, could be one, if you want to do a forecast. He's around 14-1. Whether he's good enough to come second, I don't know, but he's definitely improving. He was second to OPEC, and he's gone on from that, and I think he's moving forward and improving quite rapidly. But you do have a good few other unexposed ones in this lineup. You have the Nichols one, even though Nichols' horses are not really firing. You have one coming over from France, Stencil. You have an Alan King horse who's 1-for-1 over hurdles. He was only rated 69 in the flat on his last win. He would have gone up from that. But Alan King can, he's had many horses around that rating, and he's done very well with them from the flat. Terra Firma, of course, dead heated with Quantock Hills last time out, but I just think Quantock Hills is, the one I'd take out from that. But yeah, look, to keep it simple, East India Dock should be winning this, no problem. So yeah, I'd go with him. And if I wanted to pick one to come second, as I said, for a small forecast, maybe Quantock Hills. But yeah, East India Dock for me here. Can't see past them.
I completely agree with you. I do find it interesting that Quintock Hills was being talked about for the Dublin Racing Festival, but they come here instead. They obviously feel like he can improve on what he's done so far, but he would need to. I just don't see how they live with East India Dock. It is somewhat ironic that Lavender Hill Mob was the one being talked up as, oh, we've got a better one at home. He's going to be the superstar. And then he gets duffed on his first 2 starts of hurdles. He has won since, and might be an interesting one for the Fred Winter. Oi, oi. Later. at the Cheltenham Festival. But the 13-2 about East India Dock for the Triumph Hurdle, I don't know if that actually appeals. It does in the sense that I'd be very, very certain that he's going to be shorter because he is going to win this. How much shorter he gets, I don't know. Luamba was really good. Hello Neighbour won a graded race first time up. We're going to see him at the Dublin Racing Festival. And who knows what's going to emerge from the William Mullins yard between now and then. Palladium was whelming. He wasn't underwhelming. He wasn't overwhelming. He was whelming. The German Derby winner in his hurdling debut. It was fine. It wasn't anything great. It was grand. He's going to go for the Adonis next. So this is a market that can change considerably. Assuming he wins, East India Dock will be shorter than the 13-2 that Jeff Banks is offering right now for the Triumph Hurdle. That might be of interest. But this is just one banker level for the lucky 31s and lucky 63s. Surely, Andy.
Yeah, I'm with you guys as well. I mean, look, there's a fly in the ointment a little bit with the nickel tools because we just don't know anything about it, that Savignon. But it has got a bit of a line of form in with that Hello Neighbour because it beat a horse called Sunny Bill in France who ran third to Hello Neighbour on Boxing Day at Leopardstown. So we don't know. The only thing is, all its wins over there in France, unsurprisingly have come on soft, very soft or heavy or something like that. So the good ground is a complete unknown, 33-1 for the Triumph. So Nichol's horses are still, as we mentioned on last week's poddy, they haven't really picked up at all, have they, in the last 7 days? So that's the worry as well with this one. Seems to be a tad on the drift as well, I think. It's probably out, was it now 5s or 6s? It was a little bit short than that a couple of days ago. You mentioned the Alan King one. I mean, that was quite brave when it won last time out. Was it Newbury, I think? And, well, King actually has won this as well with Catch It, which is one of the last horses to win this and then go on and win the Triumph. You mentioned Defi de Sol, but Catch It was another one for Alan King. But, he doesn't seem to quite have the ammunition these days, does he? But, it looks a promising sort. So, yeah, it's hard to sort of come away from East India Dock, really. Like Peter said, really, it's a solid 2-miler on the flat, rated 90 for Fanshawe. And it's just one of those horses just looks better the further it goes, doesn't it? Last time out, 18 lengths or whatever it was. The time before that at Wincanton, that's been franked as well. That Hot Fuzz that it beat at Wincanton, that's come out and won. And then ran okay at Chepstow in that Grade 2 finale, Juvenile Hurdle. So yeah, look, you could probably question what has it actually beaten and stuff like that. And obviously the Henderson horse in the the front of the Triumph market does look the sort of classier at the moment. But I think I agree, Emmet. 13-2 is probably going to go once it wins this. Probably be more like 5s maybe. But we'll see. It's got to win it first. But yeah, I think it will.
Yeah, I think he'll win too. His half-brother won on good to soft ground in Group 1 company and was sold for an absolute fortune afterwards, like 4 million or something insane like that. So Savignon is very interesting, but his form is all on heavy, very soft, very soft ground, and right now it's good. So I don't know how that's going to affect him. You would imagine, given his pedigree and what he's done so far, that stamina trips will suit him. So new course, 2 mile 1, Cheltenham would be ideal for him, but I just wonder if he'd prefer softer ground. And also, I just don't understand the Nichols horses at the moment. Don't know what to make. No. We were talking about the Jockeys Championship on TalkSport 2 today. It's not like Harry Cobden's not trying. He is. Can't get a lick in. Not a contender. And that's not Harry Cobden's fault. So, I don't know. We're supposed to be dishing out loads of praise for trainers and stuff like that. If you look at how football is talked about, when a footballer, Troy Deeney was talking about it on TalkSport 2 today, a footballer who hasn't really been cutting it and cost a fortune, they get criticised, but we're not supposed to be criticising that in the racing world. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Oh, no, you're not allowed. You cannot criticise in the racing world. Absolutely no.
Unbelievable stuff.
Only in this show.
I mean, looking at his stats, I mean, he's 2 from 17 in the last 14 days. Nichols, so
I understand this is his
flu jab
season.
Was he not on holidays recently?
Yeah.
He was on holidays. I saw a picture of him somewhere.
Picture of him on a boat, wasn't there?
I have no problem with him going on holidays. Good luck to him. That's great. Some of the owners were with him. No. Good luck to him. Well done, particularly when it's flu jab season. But I thought about this because I talked about this on the podcast with the lads the other day. He's currently second in the Trainers' Championship. I guarantee you, when the National Hunt season is done, Nicky Henderson, Dan Skelton, Willie Mullins, and Gordon Elliott will all be ahead of Paul Nicholls.
Well, Willie's had a few winners this week, isn't he? At Catterick or somewhere, and Weatherby. I think he's up to 7 now in the UK. So.
Yeah, but if the whole cachet is, well, it doesn't matter that he doesn't win at Cheltenham anymore because he's champion trainer. Oh, well, it doesn't matter that he's not champion trainer because he is the champion jockey riding for him. How do you spin the narrative when you're not champion trainer, you don't have the champion jockey, and you can't get a Grade 1 win at Cheltenham? Tell me who the horse is that Paul Nicholls is going to train to win a Grade 1 at Cheltenham this year. Maybe this fella is. Maybe Sauvignon comes out, bolts up, becomes favourite for the Triumph Hurdle and wins. He's got a great record in that race. But from a decade ago, I don't get it.
There's nothing in the pipeline you can think of, can you? Just
No.
off the top of your head. It's just nothing like saying we're racing towards a festival fairly quickly now. Once Dublin's out of the way next week, there's not a lot left, is there? You've got Newbury coming up, I suppose, and then there's not really any chances for any of these unknown horses to come out of the woodwork for any of these. So I agree. I mean, I don't know. It could be what price Nicholls have no winners at festival? I mean, Do
you remember the conversations about Arsene Wenger towards the end of his time at Arsenal? Do you remember the conversations about him for the final few seasons? It wasn't just Arsenal Fan TV that were losing their minds. It was TalkSport. This guy's not... He was a great manager. He revolutionized the league. He changed the diet. He made football more professional. He's done at the top level. He is done. That was the conversation on TalkSport. No one's allowed to say a damn thing about Paul Nicholls. Nobody can question anything. I don't get it. I think he's a genius. I admire Paul Nicholls. I admire all he's achieved.
There's no doubting that. Yeah.
Where are your horses? Where are your Grade 1 contenders?
You said it the last time. You said it. He needs the three of us to start spotting for him.
Peter Michael, Andy Newton, in Ditchit, with Tom Malone, buying all the top talent. Adam Mills in the background helping out, sourcing the top horses from France.
Couldn't do any worse anyway.
Well, no,
sorting it out.
I tell you, myself and Andy and Emmet would spend 750k a little bit better, I'd say.
We might do in the bars in Dublin next week, mate. Yeah.
Shh, don't give the game away, Andy. We're so close, Andy. We were so close. All right, the 150, the Betfair Exchange Handicap Chase. It's Premier Handicap, 2 miles, 4.5 furlongs, and Paul Nicholls might win it. He's towards the top of the betting with Ginny's Destiny, top weight, 12 stone. He's also got Il Redato, 11 stone 8, with Freddie Gingell booked to ride. He had to miss the ride the last day. Olive Nicholls replaced him. He drifted like a barge in the betting and ran accordingly. Iroko, who knows what would have happened the last day, but he was well fancied in the market, but came down very, very early. 7 to 2 with Jeff Banks bet. Imperial Saint, an old friend of the podcast, 13 to 2. Moon d'Orange, who ran well against the Paul Nicholls horse, who Paul Nicholls entered in the waterside for a handicap the other day and had to be told, you can't run him in that race. He's not eligible.
Yeah, I saw that.
You're not paying attention.
Yeah, it needed 3 runs, didn't it, to qualify for the race, or something over fences, and only had
doesn't he need 4?
4, I don't know.
And hasn't he only had 1?
It was something like that. I saw the tweet. Yeah, but it was. I think it was one of the other races, wasn't it? At Cheltenham.
I don't get it now.
Anyway, but yeah,
I'm really starting to struggle to understand this stuff. It's blowing my mind. Anyway, Carl Hinchy's got some scope. Richard Hobson, one of the most likable trainers in the business. Dylan Johnson claims 3, and he's a 10 to 1 shot to go and win this race with Jeff Banks bet. What do you think, Peter Michael?
To be honest, I don't really know about what to make of this race, lads. It's a big enough race. It's 100,000 Premier Handicap. I wouldn't say the field is disappointing because we have some nice, decent animals there like Iroko and Ginny's Destiny. But for the prize money and offer, I mean, apart from 4 or 5 horses in this race, it's extremely, they're not horses I'd be afraid to take on, put it to you like that, if I had a horse around that rating. So it could have been a stronger field. Iroko is obviously the obvious starting point. He ran a lovely race behind Trelawney, first time out this season, and he was going to come on a lot for that, in my mind anyway. And as you said, we got to see nothing next time out. So he's got to shoulder 12 stone here, same as Ginny's Destiny. So that won't be easy. But as I said, it's not the strongest of fields. The ground, he's won him good before, but obviously that was lesser caliber race. So I don't know how effective he's going to be on this. He could be a better horse with more dig in the ground, but 7-2 is a fair enough price for him, I'd say. Ginny's Destiny normally would be one I'd be looking at in a field like this, but as we've just been going on about Paul Nicholls, it's hard to back any of his at the moment with confidence. So for that reason, I'm going to overlook him. And there's a few others there I give chances to. You mentioned Imperial Saint and the Irish horse. You always have to respect Irish horses coming over, as we know. So the McConnell horse, Moon, D'Orange, you have to respect. But I'm going to put up Soul Icon. I think he's an each-way price here. The last time we did the show for Christmas, I said in that race, I said I wouldn't be surprised if you won at 16-1. Now, did I back him? No. Did I tip him? No.
Neither did
so
I, by the way.
So I was kicking myself afterwards because he was just value, and something should have been put on him or tipped him up. But I just think, I think if I'm going to put two, I'd go to Rocco and Soul Icon. They're the two I think I'll nail my colours to, but I wouldn't be confident about any of them because there's a bit of unknown. But yeah, they're the two I'll go with. I just think Rocco is the class edge in this race. Ginny's Destiny obviously as well, but as we said, Paul's horses, if they win, they win. I'm going to avoid them for the moment. Iroko is the one who I think, is the best horse in the race with everything considered. And I think Soul Icon, is a very likeable horse. Hardly runs a bad race, will stay the trip. And that would be the one I'd be putting up to put it up to Iroko. So those would be my two.
Okay. Andy, for you?
Yeah, I was 16 in the last 20. I finished in the top 4 last time out, so that's a little stat to take into the race. But it's one of those races that there's just like a whole bundle of them just on some kind of like recovery mission, really, isn't there? Like, I don't know. I mean, Ginny's Destiny, it just seems to have lost its way. Germerand, I mean, that was decent in the December Gold Cup, and then ran a stinker last time out. El Redoto, I mean, that's probably sort of had its day in the sun this season. When it won the Paddy Power, and you just feel that, I don't know, again, it's another Nicholls one. Iroko, I know it fell early doors last time out, and that's probably, the one that, I don't know, it's going to take the beating probably, but 3-1 or whatever it is, 11-4, looks a bit short, 12 stone as well. Imperial Saint, all its wins have been at Aintree. Hobbs' form is good though, I mean, that's the plus. There's just sort of question. I mean, Soul Icon's probably the most solid, the most reliable, like you say, Peter. So I can see where you're coming from that, and that was a great shout over Christmas, to be honest, when he won the Desert Orchid. Realistically, you can probably take a chance on something that's a little bit bigger. I mean, the other interesting stat is all of the last 9 have been eight or younger. So there's quite a few in here that are 9, Ginny's Destiny being one, and that Germerand as well, and a few more at the bottom. But look, some scope. You mentioned that at the start.
Yeah.
Won that Roland Merrick last time out, and I think it was that second off a Windop.
Yes, it was.
And back in trip here, I think will suit it. Look, it's gone up, I think, just £4. I think it had a £7 claim on last time, so we can do the maths or whatever. But they're putting Dylan Johnson on taking off 3. Thought it jumped well that day. The ground would be all right. 10 stone 4, and also the Irish horse gets in here with a low rate as well. Like Moon D'Orange. John McConnell does all right here at Cheltenham. He's got a fairly good strike rate. That was second to that in the Waterside that we mentioned earlier. The Nicholls one that he messed up entering or whatever. I think again the key with this one is the drop back in trip. It's been running over a bit further, and I don't know what price that has. I think money has come for that. That's probably been the money horse in the last couple of days, because it was definitely double figures a couple, sort of Tuesday, Wednesday. That Moon D'Orange is now probably more like 7s or 8s. But yeah, some scope, 12-1. Don't know. Looks fairly decent price to me, to be honest, each way. When there's so many question marks against pretty much, 4 or 5 at the top of the betting here for me.
I'm very interested in some scope as well. That was it was Charlie Magg's first ever winner, and he got a he got a very late call up. We got a call up that morning, Boxing Day morning to go ride for Richard Hobson and Carl Lynch.
Well, it was a good ride. It wasn't
hold on, was that his first ever? Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Really? Wow,
Yeah,
I'm shocked at that, because he's a great value for his claim. Wow.
Well, maybe it was his first win over fences, but it was definitely one of his first big wins, because I've had an in-depth conversation with Ross Millar about this.
Well, it must be, because he's ridden more. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, so it must have been his first one over fences. Or maybe it was his first one at the track. And now you have me doubting myself. There's no way Ross Millar would lie. There's no way.
That couldn't be. Well, there's no way that could be his first winner as a jockey.
Ross Millar? We're going to tell him? No.
Because that guy can ride for a first claim. He's a very good jockey, Charlie Mann.
He's very, very good. And maybe it was his first winner at the track. Maybe that's what it was. But I know it was
fences, maybe. But yeah.
Or over the fences. Yeah. I think it was his first winner over fences.
Might be.
Because they were thinking about it afterwards and they were like, we're real glad we didn't tell Carl beforehand because Carl might have panicked, but he held mad tough, was delighted, and I'm sure was absolutely thrilled with the ride Charlie gave the horse. Hope that's not Russian disinformation going out now on the show. Anyway, there we go. Look, that was really likeable. I like that horse, and I think off a low weight he could run really, really well. I find it interesting the Fugitive is nowhere to be seen. Hope he's all right. But some scope comes in and subs for him, and I think it's a horse who could do really, really well. The lazy pick is Iroko. I'm sorry, but he's probably going to win. But some scope is I'm almost certainly going to Dutch this. Some scope Iroko in some sort of scumbag each way, lucky 63, some elaborate concoction of a bet. That's how. Don't
forget the exacta.
And possibly the exacta as well, yeah. Just because that. Why not throw more money after it? Why not? That's the handicap chase. The Cotswold Chase Grade 2. The betting is headed by L'Empresse for Venetia Williams and Charlie Deutsch. Even money. Their horses are running like the Nichols horses. They have had a couple of winners recently. A couple of days ago, they had Hunter Legend and Camelus win, but geez, Jello was awful, and Royal Pagaille at his beloved Haydock never went a yard. That'll tell you how badly the horses were running. If they're okay, he surely wins this because he's only really got Gentleman's Game to beat, and he should take care of him, Peter Michael.
I don't know about that, Emmet. I'm going to put up Gentleman's Game for a couple of reasons. One, I don't really back Charlie Deutsch, as I've stated in this show. And
not God!
Come on. And Dara O'Keefe is the complete opposite of him. I tell you, if it's a close finish, it doesn't matter if Charlie wins because he might be in the better horse, but if it's a close finish, you'll see the difference in jockeys here. It's like chalk and cheese. Dara O'Keefe is just one of the strongest you can have in the saddle. He's incredible. And as I said, Charlie's not a bad jockey as well, but I tell you, I just wouldn't like to be on him in a tight finish. And now it's insane that he's won many tight finishes, but then again, he's riding very, very good horses with Venetia Williams. So yeah, I'll be taking him on, and I think Gentleman's Game. Okay, so you guys going to sit there and tell me he's strong in a finish?
I've never had a problem with Charlie Deutsch in a finish. Never.
Come on, one at a time. Come on.
I've never had a problem with Charlie Deutsch in a finish.
Have you not?
No. I could make the argument that Jello was tenderly handled at the start of the season, but that's about it.
Charlie Deutsch is very weak in a finish. Extremely weak. Probably one of the weakest jockeys riding in England and Ireland in a finish. There's not many weaker. There isn't. I'm telling you now, there's not many weaker. There's not.
The views of Peter Michael are not necessarily those of the Final Furlong podcast. Anyway, go on.
No, exactly. So La Home Press is the horse to beat, without a doubt. He's the horse to beat. But Gentleman's Game does bring decent form as well for this race, for the context of this race. Because if you look at this race, I mean, there's only really 3 or 4 that have a hope of winning it. Now, that's no disrespect to Delta Work or Tommy Bow. And Delta Work is obviously, whilst he does remain a horse that, come Cheltenham, you could be looking at him for the race he'll be running in the cross country. But up till Cheltenham, up till the festival, I don't think he's a horse that's going to figure much in races. Stage Star, Nichols, we just went through that. So that really only leaves 3. Chantry House is getting on. I know he won last time. You would have to give him a chance, but Gentleman's Game and La Home Press bring the best form into this race, and at the prices and with the jockeys, Gentleman's Game for me, I think he's going to win this, and I think Dara O'Keefe will be the deciding factor as they battle it out in the last furlong.
What about Cheltenham? You think Cheltenham will be all right? Because he pulled up in the Gold Cup, wasn't it? And
yeah, well, I mean, the fact that they're bringing him over again, how many times has he run in Cheltenham? He's run just once. Yeah. So you have to forgive a horse one bad run, and he was coming off 4 months, something like that, a 4-month break. His form is nearly as solid as La Home Press, and he's got the better jockey. So yeah, Gentleman's Game for me in this one. I think 5-2 is a big price in the context of this race.
Okay, Andy?
I can see that definitely getting a lot shorter.
Don't know. I'm the other way. I mean, I know Venetia's horses. She's picked up a little bit. I think she's 4 from 25, 16% at the moment. But yeah, she was going through a bit of a lull probably a week or so ago, and she's still not over the worst of it. But I mean, I don't know. This race has been a bit of a graveyard for the old favourites as well. I mean, only 2, I think, in the last 21 have gone in, and they've both been Henderson horses. One of which was Chantry House, who goes again. And Santini, I think, was the other favourite that's won in the last 21 years. There's been quite a lot of, big fancies in this turned over. So that would be the thing. But I mean, look, it has cut up. I mean, Capo Dano was supposed to come here, wasn't it? Last year's winner. That's didn't get an entry in the end. So yeah, I mean, like you say, Gentleman's Game. It's third in the Savills. The only thing. I know we just talked about it. It would be just that pulled up in the Gold Cup. I don't know whether the track and just the fact, it just doesn't win loads for me personally. So I'm sort of just going to keep coming back to Press A. Third in the King George, ran well in the Gold Cup. I thought just sort of fell in a bit of a heap in the last sort of furlong or two. So the slightly shorter trip here will help. And let's not forget that it's getting £6 off Gentleman's Game as well. Press A.
That's a big thing, yeah.
And that could be the difference, personally. We know it loves Cheltenham. It's why it won the Brown Advisory in 2022. Track no problem. So I actually think Chantry House is probably the one for the forecast as well. I mean, as I say, past winner of this, loves the track. I think it's won 3 times at Cheltenham. I know it's an 11-year-old now, but I think some older horses have won this in the past, and again, it gets £6 off Gentleman's Game. So I'd rather be sort of going those two in some kind of forecast. But I think Press A Domain for me.
I thought this was pretty obvious. Gentleman's Game wins.
I'm on my own,
and I think the
You're on
reason
your own, Andy.
I think the
Ireland
reason he
versus
wins.
England.
I think the reason he wins is his form is just better. Like, he's only beaten 5 lengths by Fast or Slow with Galop on the Champ ahead of him at Punchestown. And he's only 12.5 lengths off Galop on the Champ. What's better, 12 lengths off Banbridge in a King George or 12.5 lengths off Galop on the Champ? I'll take Galop on the Champ, thanks very much.
The £6 is the worry, though.
It's a concern.
Even though, I mean, if they're running off levels, the home press should beat him. I mean, he's rated £3 higher. And obviously, so he's £6 and £9 wrong in theory. But then you have Dara O'Keefe versus Charlie Deutsch, so that'll make it up.
That's got nothing to do with it for me. It's got nothing to do with it for me. I just think this is a very good opportunity for Gentleman's Game. A real good opportunity for him. And it might be his only opportunity to actually win a race this season, because I don't think he's got a hope in hell in a Gold Cup. And I don't see how he can go and win at Punchestown. And for that matter, he wouldn't live with Jerry Colom and Aintree. But he could win at this level. And the same applies to Lampresse, by the way. This is it. And his third run back is 5.5 lengths off Pictory. Yeah, Pictory's fine, but he's no Fast or Slow. So, Gentleman's Game, better form. Gentleman's Game wins. Keep it simple. Guys, however are we going to work out who wins the Unibet Hurdle registered as the International, despite the fact that it should be known as the Bula Hurdle because it was called the Bula Hurdle for years, and then Boyle Sports came along and said, well, we want to rename it the International Hurdle, and for some dumb reason the Jockey Club agreed to that, and then when they ended their sponsorship they didn't go, hey, hang on a second, we've been hoodwinked, let's go back to the original name, the Bula. That's what it should be called. And I campaign to Nevin Truesdale now. Colin, do a Donald Trump executive order on your way out the door and sign that this goes back to being the Bula Hurdle. How far does Constitution Hill win by Peter Michael?
But by how far he wants, basically, Emmet. That's up to Nico de Boinville. So, yeah, look, so what can you say about this race? He's 1-9. He's 1-9 to get around, basically. So, I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. He's totally different class, anything in the lineup. I don't even want to see who's going to come second, or I don't even care who's going to come second. Brentford Hope, obviously, he's the more likeliest to come second, but he's coming off a bad run. But this race is all about Constitution Hill. And yeah, let's just hope he gets round safe and sound and is impressive as we were hoping he'll be, which obviously will be easy enough for him in this field. But yeah, look, it's just good to see him one more time before Cheltenham. So yeah, 1-9. There's been worse 1-9 shots.
I'd say if you're sitting on the 4-1 on, you're pretty pleased with yourself. And I would say you better hope Lossiemouth wins the Irish Champion Hurdle. Because if she gets beat, she's going to the mares. And Brighter Days Ahead is almost certainly going to go there too. And then it's just a royal coronation for Constitution Hill in the Champion Hurdle. Because there ain't nothing that can touch him. Unless Amsterdam's the one. If Amsterdam's the one who sinks Lossiemouth in the Irish Champion Hurdle, and he's out to 10-1 now, then maybe there's a chance. But
I saw he was
that Amsterdam's nice, isn't it, on Sunday as well?
Yeah,
hold up! Wait a minute.
I mean, we don't know the decks until tomorrow. Obviously, the final decks, but it has got an entry in that Limestone Lad.
The Limestone Lad
at Naas. And
when
Willie was interviewed in the week on that, there's a load of them on Twitter or X or whatever flying around. I mean, he didn't actually know it was entered in it. I think someone was like, "What is it? What race is it?" No, and he was sort of it was weird. I think he had the press day or something, some press day, but he sort of gave the impression that it was running at Naas on Sunday, but I don't know. It was a bit of a weird. You have to go and Google it. I think it was Tote or something. Did a load of
I'm looking at the race now on Sunday. Naas. It's just
he'll win that.
It'll be strolling the park for him. Yeah,
he will win that doing hands.
Obviously, go the Irish. But going back to the Irish Champion Hurdle, I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but now we know Lossiemouth as not coming here to Cheltenham on Saturday. We've got the conundrum with Paul Townend again, haven't we? Who does he ride? He's got to ride Lossiemouth, surely, do you think? Or will he stick with State Man?
In the Irish Champion Hurdle?
Yeah, because if they both go in there now...
That whole thing of Willie Mullins saying, State Man's still our number one. Bollocks. Lossiemouth is who he's going to ride.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I think it's odds on, isn't it? 4-6, something like that.
Yeah, he's going to ride Lossiemouth.
He's got to, isn't he? He's got to.
Well, I don't know.
That's actually making me a little bit nervous that Amsterdam's going to run in the Champion Hurdle.
That's a good question. I don't know who you ride. I mean, you have to just put a line through Stateman's last run. We all know that wasn't him. And before that wasn't the worst run, coming second to Brighter Days Ahead, heading Brighter Days Ahead.
No,
and
first
before
run of the
that,
season.
he hadn't done a whole pile wrong. So I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see who he rides anyway. It's a hard one.
Do you think there's a chance that he does ride Stateman?
Well, I mean, we're going to put a line through the last one, so you have to. So ignore that. In their minds, that race didn't take place. The race before that, was that the Morgiana?
Yeah,
it was a Morgiana, wasn't it? Yeah. He ran a lovely race there, considering he would have come on for that, and considering what Brighter Days Ahead has gone on to do after that.
And she was race fit.
So he travelled upsides, headed him, looked all over the winner, and just got out fitness or whatever it was you want to call it. And then normally you'd expect him to turn the tables around, but Leopardstown wasn't, there was a few Mullins that didn't fire, and he was one of them, and around Christmas time. So I look, the next one's going to tell everything for both horses. The next one's going to tell everything. So it'll be interesting to see who he picks. The mare's allowance might swing it towards Lossiemouth, so we'll see.
Has Gordon said anything about Brighter Days Ahead going for this, the Irish Champion Hurdle?
Andy would know more about that than me.
I haven't seen anything. No, I was just looking to see whether Lossiemouth's been ridden by anyone else in her career.
No. Yes, Danny Mullins on debut.
Danny, you're right. Yeah, it's exactly right. Apart from that, he's just been Townend the whole way. So
this is a 2-year plan to get her to the Champion Hurdle. He's going to ride her, and I know Stateman's going for his 3rd Irish Champion Hurdle, but she's won a Hatton's Grace first time up. And he's been beaten in his 2 runs. So he's going to ride her. Because the anticipation is going to be, that's who he'll ride in Cheltenham. Because Stateman can't beat Constitution Hill. We know that definitively. So he's not going to ride him. And that means Danny will ride Stateman. And maybe there'll be some upset where Stateman does Lossiemouth. Because Danny rides the DRF so brilliantly. And then that would end Lossiemouth's campaign for the Champion Hurdle. In which case, you better hope Amsterdam has won the Limestone Lad. And you better hope he's won it impressively enough that Willie Mullins goes, we have to run him in a Champion Hurdle now.
He will. He'll blow that field apart.
He could do an undersow on it. he didn't run Undersow in the Champion Hurdle because he said Undersow is the future. And I don't want to blow his head off. That was his quote to me. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't run him in the Champion Hurdle.
Yeah, well, maybe he might come too soon in his career. I can understand that, definitely. I can understand that. But
lads, it's a sorry state of affairs. You've got Jeff Banks is going 5-4 on Lossiemouth. That makes sense to me. State Man 7-4. Brighter Days Ahead 3-1. Anzadam probably isn't going to run 8s. And it's 25-1 about the rest. Not one of them would you want to bet on. Not a single one of them would you want to put a bean on. And then you look for the Champion Hurdle market. Constitution Hill is 2s on. Lossiemouth 4s. Brighter Days Ahead 4s. State Man 10s. Lossiemouth, if she wins the Irish Champion Hurdle, is a killer each way bet at 4-1. Anzadam, if he wins and wins well, maybe that 10-1 looks great, but I've got a massive price about him, so I've no interest. There is not a single horse in the Champion Hurdle market that you'd have any interest in betting on. It's a shocking division, aside from the 2 talented mares, the exciting up-and-coming, who knows how good Anzadam is, and the monster Constitution Hill.
What price is Bird at Road? 25s? 33s?
Still 25s.
Yeah.
He could very easily place. He could might be the only one to challenge him on the day.
Maybe. But there's only been one jockey that's ridden State Man apart from Townend.
That'll change next week.
Come over. But yeah, so he's going to have to make a choice, isn't he? We'll see.
All right, Constitution Hill gallops them all into submission in the Unibet Hurdle unless something bizarre happens. But no, he should.
And the last horse, like if he wins it and then wins a Champion Hurdle, the last horse to do the International Hurdle whatever it's called now, the Unibet Hurdle and the Champion Hurdle in the same season, got to go back quite a way. 2002, I think.
Orla what?
No.
Rooster Booster?
Rooster Booster!
It had to be one or the other, in fairness.
Yeah.
Wah to the first answer. Okay, Cleeve Hurdle. Cleeve Hurdle, grade 2. Crambo's the 5-2 favourite with Jeff Banks bet to go and follow up his win in Ascot the last day where he beat Hidden Valley Lake. Strong leader. Spectacularly blew out that day and has never won in 4 starts at Cheltenham. Is the 11-4 second favourite. Sean Bowen, who's been tearing it up in the Jockeys Championship. Goal Road 9-2, and Monmoral, who I might tip for our good close personal friend Paul Nichols, who we absolutely love on this podcast and only ever say glowing things about because we're such big fans of him. 13-2 with Harry Cobden, the champion jockey in the saddle. Right, Peter Michael, who do you like?
Strong leader is the one I'd be going for here. Again, it's one of those races that you have, we have 8 runners, and it's not I know it's not a grade 1, it's a grade 2, so it's not the strongest of fields. Now, in saying that, you do have Crambo in it, who I think he's won 2 grade 1s, and Strong Leader has won, I think, 1 or 2 grade 1s as well, so they're decent animals. But apart from that, the rest of the horses are, they're decent horses, they're good animals, but you wouldn't expect them to be winning a race of this nature. So the reason I'm putting up Strong Leader is I'm going to obviously put a line through his last run. Ollie was very confident about him going into the race. So obviously there was something underlying that he didn't know, or something happened during the race. I'm not sure what excuses came out from it, but look, we're putting a line through that. That's not his true running. I know he hasn't won at Cheltenham, like you said, but he has run some good races there, so I wouldn't be too worried about the track. Crambo has won, I think, 3. How many races has he won? He's won 8 races, but 3 of his graded races, I think, have all been at Ascot. I'll just double check that.
Yeah.
So he clearly has a liking for that track. Now, that's not to say he can't go on to Cheltenham and win there. But I think at the prices, I think, Strong Leader was 11-8 to win last time out against Crambo. Crambo was 9-1. Now, all of a sudden, it's 11-4 Strong Leader and 5-2 Crambo. The other is, Monmoral, as you said, if Nichols' horses are running better, he could be one that you'd look at each way. Gala goes back hurdling, which is a bit strange to see, but he's a nice and likeable horse, but you couldn't fancy him to beat the top 2. Kerry Hill was a horse, that I thought could progress this season, but obviously he's only ran once. So he's a horse that could outrun his price. He's 22-1. But for me, I think Strong Leader is the value here. I could see him shortening up a lot. I could see him ending up favourite for this race without a doubt in my mind. And if he doesn't run a big race, I think Ollie might be scratching his head even more after Saturday. But for me, he's the one to beat.
Yeah, we are suddenly getting a price about him that we shouldn't be getting, Andy, and that's the thing that appeals about him. I really liked Monmoral going into the race, but the more you look at it and you listen to the pretty compelling argument that Peter makes there, you're only getting 13-2 about Monmoral, who's got to improve 3.5 lengths from Newbury, and yeah, he might in a bigger field and on a more conventional track for him anyway. Cheltenham would suit him better. But does he have the level of class to get to strong leader? I don't know. First run after a wind up too.
Yeah, I mean, Monmoral, it has won 6 of its 14 runs over hurdles. It had that sort of barren spell before it won the Potemps, didn't it? It just, it tried it over fences and this, that, and the other. And last time out, it did give strong leader a race. I mean, it had every chance, but like you say, it just was about 3.5 lengths in the end. You don't know. You just wonder whether, I don't know, will it go back to the Potemps? I think it's about 25-1 for that. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, that race has thrown up a couple of repeat winners in the past.
Well, if that is the target, Andy, they're hardly going to be. And Paul Nicholls is not someone you'd associate with handbrake at all. But you don't want to be getting close to horses rated in the 150s if that's the plan.
Yeah, but that was going to be my point. And you think, well, if it is just like a bit of a, I don't know, keeping it ticking over job for that race, then it doesn't want to be getting close. I'm not saying that they're going to do a dodge or whatever, but that's just something to bear in mind, because I think it is 25 for the Potemps, and like I say, that race has got a fair bit of history of horses, repeat winners going in. So don't know, we'll see. I mean, look, Gale Road is probably the most solid. It's going to be one for the place pot. Crambo, I don't know, it's just a horse. I don't know, I can't really get right. I mean, 6 of its 8 wins have been going the other way, right-handed, and Fergal O'Brien, his stats.
He could be better as well, first time out, lads. Crambo as well.
Yeah, and like you say, I mean, he's won the long walk a couple of times at Ascot, so maybe that suits a bit better. I mean, Fergal O'Brien, his stats here are 7 from 102, I think, over hurdles, but I don't know. It's just a horse I can't quite sort of latch onto ever. Not just here, but and then strong leader. Its last race was a shocker at Rocker, but it's had a wind up since. So that's interesting that they've done something straight away. 35 days ago in that race that that it bombed out on. So again, you're taking your chances, aren't you? I mean, let's say Gale Road is probably the most solid each way one for the place spot. You think it will probably be there or thereabouts, course winner. And like you say, Galore is a weird one. I mean, I don't know what they're doing going back over hurdles. I mean, it's only run 3 times, I think, over the smaller obstacles. But, it gets £6 off the main 2. If you sort of add that in, it's then off a sort of a mark of 150. So it's still got about £8 and £6 to find with Crambo and strong leader. But it is a bit, the ground will be fine. The trip is a slight question mark, up to 3 miles. And look, Botox has, if the rain had come, which we don't think it's going to, that would have certainly been one for the short list. But I don't know, not on quicker ground for me. So look, it's a tricky race, really. Probably strong leader, but I don't think I'll be completely pinning my hopes on anything here, really, if I'm honest with you, having a bet on anything.
I'm going to take a chance that Monmoral, for our close personal friend Paul Nicholls, who we absolutely love and always sing his praises and talk about what an amazing trainer he is, and this is going to be the great one horse that emerges. I find it interesting this is the race they're going for. Like, why are you doing that? You got to mark a 145. It's workable for the Potemps.
They need to get back some of the 750k the owners paid out for Caldwell Potter. I think that's what it is. They're on tilt.
Yeah. Well, this is worth 39 grand this race. So.
They're on tilt. Oh, imagine saying that to Fergie. Hey, Fergie, you on tilt?
Yeah.
I'm going to chance Monmoral. I think he's pretty solid to reach the frame against 2 horses that I don't trust. And shout out to our good friends at Proform. They have a very interesting statistic. What is the record of this strong leader's sire's progeny first run after a wind up?
Oh, interesting.
Jesus.
25 runners, how many winners?
Andy, you're the stat man. I'll keep quiet.
What, for first time out after a wind up? Yeah, I've got all those backed up. That's interesting though. I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be something fairly decent. The fact you're bringing
I'd
it
say
up.
50%. I'd say.
Oh, only two. Oh, we're
Two.
going the other way. Oh, so okay, that's interesting then. So again,
that would be a concern.
It's just a lot of question marks with a lot of these.
Well, it would be more of a concern if they put a tongue tie on them. They didn't, so I wouldn't be worried about that.
True, but maybe they think that's gonna. Maybe they think that's gonna work. I hate tongue tie after a wind up. Hate it. He says after talking up some scope earlier on. All right, we'll go to the Novice Hurdle. Grade 2 Novice Hurdle. Potter's Charm is back. He was going to go straight to the Cheltenham Festival, but the Tristan Davis team have decided, let's spin him out again. He's even money with Jeff Banks bet against Bill Joyce, who's 9-2. Quebecois for Ella McNeil and friends, 7s. 6 Mile Bridge, 11-1. Does Potter's Charm just consolidate his position towards the top of the betting behind the new line and just go and win this, Peter Michael?
Yeah, I think he does, lads. It's a nice race. It's a race I'm looking forward to seeing. There's a few, likeable types in there, but he's done nothing wrong, and it's going to be very hard to go against him, tip against him, or bet against him. His price is tight enough at even money, but he's earned that price. And I think he's the one to beat. As I said, he's done nothing wrong. He's been very impressive, and I think there's more to come from him. Bill Joyce is also a very likeable horse. My only concern for him would be this is his third run in about 6 to 7 weeks, and Sandown was a tough race. The ground was pretty soft there, and obviously he had a hard enough race against a new line. So this is his third run, 6-7 weeks. It's not going to be easy to perform at his best. And you have some likeable types in there as well, apart from those two. And Wade Out would be one of them, who I think is going to absolutely love this extra 4 furlongs. I think that's going to bring out a lot of improvement in him. So he could be the one to chase home Potter's Charm for me. But this is a good race, and I think it's a race that you could learn a good bit from going forward. But Potter's Charm, even money's the right price for him, but I think he'll win. So he's my pick, and I'll put Wade Out to chase him home.
I agree. Very briefly, is Potter's Charm banker to round off the card with a winner, Andy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, people might, if you are going to go against it, they might go, look, has it had a hard season already? It's had 4 runs. That form with Val Brand, who it beat in November meeting, that horse has run a shocker since. So, but I think it still brings the best form to the table, even though Bill Joyce ran third in the Challo to the new line. And look, won at a big prize. It's just annoying that there's 7 runners, but look, I think that Gamester's Guy is probably worth a little look if you can get some kind of top 3. Ran second to that Navajo Indy at Bangor. That's come out, won, ran all right against that Secret Squirrel last time out. And there's been other horses in behind, in that race that have come out and won since as well. So look, that's a massive price, like 25-33-1. It's got loads to find on the ratings, but Gamester's Guy, if you want a bit of a each way longer price squeaky against Potter's Charm, who should win.
I like it. Naps. Peter Michael.
Well, I'm just going to go from the races we've previewed. I have a good few others I'd fancy over the weekend, but I'm going to leave those for the group I do for the tipping service. The races we've previewed, East India Dock would be the one. I know the price isn't great, but I'll put him up. He's around 5 to 6 even money, and I think he'll win.
Andy?
Yeah, I like that one as well. But I think literally the race we just talked about, I think Potter's Charm, I think that brings a lot to the table. I think that's going to be difficult. It will probably bring, the favourite back is home, happy at Cheltenham. And then look, a couple that we talked about, that Some Scope and Moon Durange in the 150, little bigger prices in next best.
I'm seeing 11-4 about Morning Air in the 12:20 at Doncaster. That's a mistake, even with a question mark over Venetia Williams horses. Can't pronounce the name. Peter Michael can. 12:28 Fairy House, the Gavin Cromwell horse. You'll win.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, weren't we?
Yeah.
Kazakh. Hold on. I need to.
He's a nut job.
Yeah, he's a bit of a lunatic, though. Yeah.
He is a complete psychopath, but he will win that.
Kazakh Tartal.
Handicap Chase. I think he's interesting. President Scotty interests me in the 12. Is it 12:55? Yeah, 12. For a second, I thought it was 12:59. These race times have gone so stupid. President Scotty Danny McMenamin in the plate. I think he'll go close. But for the races we talked about, Resplendent Grey, East India Dock, Iroko, Gentleman's Game, Monmoral, Potter's Charm, Lucky 63. Fill your boots up and I'll see you in Dubai. You can bet now with Jeff Banks Bet. Use the promo code FFP500. You're eligible for 10% back of any net losses after your first month of betting up to 500 quid. You could get 500 of your sovereigns back, but you won't need it because you get best odds guaranteed. You get to stream all the British and Irish racing on the Jeff Banks site, and you can take his money with Peter Michael's tips, Andy Newton's tips, some of mine as well, maybe. Get that Jeff Banks cash, particularly with the Cheltenham Festival on the horizon. From Peter, Andy, and me, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again very, very soon on the Final Furlong podcast. Look after yourself and each other. Stay safe in the storm. God bless.
The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.